Okay, we just got back from the range, and let me start off by saying I do not like public ranges. I prefer to shoot on public land where I can basically practice realistic shooting and not shoot paper targets and have a range safety officer standing over my shoulder correcting every little thing that doesn't comply with their rules. We went to Usery Mountain shooting range today with my brand new Smith & Wesson M&P, and it was raining, which is why I did not go to my usual spot, which is Sycamore Creek, which is public land. I did not want to shoot my new firearm in the rain. First thing that the range safety officer says is that I have to have the barrel of my brand new M&P over the red line, which is exposed to the rain. And without I didn't say anything back. I just stepped up to the line, stuck my gun out in the rain, and this bitch says to me, if you don't want to get wet, don't shoot in the rain. And let me tell you, I almost just fucking packed my shit up and left right then and there. Anyways, now that that's over and done with, I'll make another video about public ranges later, but I don't like them. Okay, so let's compare the M&P to the SD. With all the hype about this firearm, I have to say I am underwhelmed. This cost nearly twice as much as the SD series. My expectation was that I would get twice the gun. The SD is just as good as the M&P as far as I'm concerned. The trigger is a little bit better on the M&P. The ergonomics are a little better as far as being able to change out the back strap. The steel reinforced polymer frame is a good improvement. Does it justify nearly twice the cost of the firearm? Absolutely not. I think where that extra cost is going is you get a case with it, you get 4 back straps and 2 magazines, which of course the SD series you get 2 magazines with anyways. However, the SD comes in a cardboard box, no back straps. Now, first thing I'll address, if you plan on getting any of the M&P series for concealed carry, be aware the new texturing is very aggressive. Now, that's both good and bad. You want to be able to get a good grip on your firearm. However, if you're like me and you live in a warm state and you concealed carry this under your shirt and in your waistband, you're basically going to have a piece of sandpaper rubbing against your side or your belly all day long. It is rather uncomfortable. I don't get the same feeling from this. The texturing on this is adequate. The texturing on this is uncomfortable. Now, that being said, let's talk about how the M&P performed on the range. The first magazine that I put through, I was using the cheapest ammo I could find. It was all copper, 95 grain, some off-brand, I don't remember the name. It worked well. I was a little discouraged because for some reason I thought that since this was a 9mm compared to the 40, I would have less muzzle flip. Yes, I did have less muzzle flip, but still a considerable amount of muzzle flip for a 9mm shooting 95 grain copper ammo. That could just be me. I need to get used to shooting the firearm, but I was a little underwhelmed. I switched from the 40 to the 9 because the 40 has a lot of muzzle flip to it. I was expecting the 9 to have considerably less muzzle flip. In comparison to recoil, as far as the pushback, I was getting a lot of wrist pain after putting about 3 magazines through the 40 cal. And I think that's just because, I'm using a heavy per caliber load. I shoot 180 grain out of the 40. I did not experience that same uncomfortable feeling in my wrist when I was shooting the M&P 9mm. So that's a plus for that. But that's just due to caliber, not the firearm itself. I did put 100 rounds through that today. We did not shoot the SD40 today, just the 9mm. The other thing is this range would not allow us to take video footage either, which is another reason why I do not like public ranges. How this performed. The very first magazine that I put through it, after emptying the magazine, the slide did not lock. That was a little bit discouraging. Being a brand new gun, I had an expectation that it would perform flawlessly every time with as much hype that was built up around this gun. However, every magazine that I fired after that with the same ammunition, the slide did lock. So it was just a one-off. I ended up putting 100 rounds of ammunition through this today. Not the same kind of ammunition, though. I was shooting the 95 grain all copper, and I was shooting 120 grain surplus military rejects or whatever. I don't even want to say rejects. It was just an unopened box that a friend of mine had that just said surplus military. I had one failure to feed out of 100 rounds, and it was out of the 90 grain all copper, and I think that was just due to the fact that it was a light per caliber load going through a brand new firearm. 1 out of 100 is tolerable to me. I'm not gonna down on the firearm for one failure to feed out of 100. Every other round fired flawlessly. As far as accuracy, I do see a bit of improvement on the M&P. It does seem to be a little more accurate than the SD40. However, I'm still getting used to shooting this, so my accuracy with this firearm is still a bit off. I know Lucille very well, so I've gotten used to the sight adjustments on this. I'm still getting used to Sophia here. So, and the weird thing is I'm still getting over this cheating on the girlfriend kind of thing. And by that I mean this has been my loyal girl for 2 years now, a little over 2 years. We've been together every day, and she's always been there for me. She's always done exactly as I have requested of her, and she's been very loyal and faithful to me. Carrying Sophia around feels like cheating on my girlfriend for some reason. I'm still getting used to her, and it's a weird feeling. If anybody else has that kind of feeling when they are used to carrying a certain firearm for a long time and then they suddenly switch to something else, leave me a comment about that, because I don't know if it's just me or if this is like a regular thing. Anyways, Sophia, the M&P 2.0, it's a good gun. Is it a great gun? I wouldn't say it's great. It still has its flaws. Honestly, I think if you're budget-minded like myself and you don't have a whole lot of money to be spending on firearms, think the SD is a better choice, especially if you're a beginning shooter. Maybe not the 40 cal. Start off with an SD9. This is every bit as good as this. The only difference is this has a much better trigger. You can get an Apex trigger kit for this and make it just as good. The sarin coating, I believe they call it Armor Light. That's a bonus. It protects the stainless steel underneath, so you don't get that same thing with the SD series. But is it worth the extra nearly $200? I can't say that it is. But your friends at the range are going to give you less shit for carrying and firing an M&P than a, quote, Sigma, which the SD series is basically a Sigma. It's also known as the Ghetto Glock. Another thing, I watch a lot of other YouTube videos and police shooting videos and stuff. This series of firearm has become very popular with criminals and people who want to do nefarious things, because it's become the Saturday night special of the modern era. It's an inexpensive, reliable firearm. And that's not saying that the M&P isn't, but $300 compared to $550, that says it all. Anyways, that's going to do it for this range review of the Smith & Wesson M&P 2.0. I know I've been somewhat negative about it, and I don't want to come across negative. I have no regrets at all in purchasing this firearm. It's a good firearm. Is it twice the gun that the SD series is? Nope, not at all. Still a good gun. Still a good gun. Better than the SD? In some ways, yes. In other ways, no. And I would say the main way, and I'm still undecided on that, is the grip texture. Like I was saying, this is like sandpaper rubbing against you all day long. The SD has always been very comfortable to me. Not so sure about the M&P. Anyways, that's going to do it for this range review. Thanks for watching, and please give us a like and subscribe.